The gang reunited in the central lab to compare notes. "Paul's fingerprints are all over this," Fred said, showing the schematics and notes they'd found. Velma nodded. "But we're still missing his motive. He's not just sabotaging the robot. He's targeting the entire facility." Daphne held up the lab coat. "We need to confront him before he puts anyone else in danger." Fred agreed. "Let's split up again. Velma and I will head to his office. Daphne, take Scooby and Shaggy to the storage bay to look for more clues. If Paul's behind this, he'll slip up soon." Velma and Fred made their way to Paul's office, a cluttered space filled with blueprints, scattered tools, and half-finished projects. Velma's sharp eyes quickly spotted a notebook on his desk, its pages filled with calculations and diagrams. "These equations match the modifications we found on the robot," she said, flipping through the pages. Fred pulled open a drawer, finding a hidden folder labeled Starline Contingency. Inside were documents revealing communications with an unnamed third party. "This isn't just sabotage," Fred said grimly. "Paul's working with someone outside the facility." The gang regrouped in the control room to piece together their findings. Velma spread out the documents from Paul's office, pointing to a series of encrypted messages. "These transmissions show he's been feeding information to an external source," she explained. "It's likely they're paying him to sabotage the project and destabilize the research center." Fred frowned, his expression stern. "We need to confront him before he can do more damage. He's putting everyone here at risk." Their confrontation came sooner than expected. As the gang prepared to track Paul down, the facility's emergency lights activated, bathing the corridors in a flashing red glow. The intercom crackled, and Paul's voice echoed through the halls. "You're too late," he said, his tone calm but menacing. "Starline will ensure this place is shut down for good." Fred led the charge, following the sound of his voice to the communications hub. Along the way, the gang encountered obstacles: locked doors, blocked hallways, and even the reactivated robot patrolling the area. In the communications hub, they found Paul frantically typing into a console, his face illuminated by the glow of the screens. "Stop right there!" Fred shouted, stepping forward. Paul turned, a bitter smile on his face. "You don't understand," he said. "This research center isn't what it seems. Starline's a cover for something much darker, and I'm the only one who can stop it." Velma stepped closer, her voice steady. "If that's true, destroying the center isn't the answer. We can expose the truth without endangering lives." Paul hesitated, the weight of her words visibly affecting him. But before he could respond, the robot burst into the room, its sensors glowing bright red. "We'll have to deal with this first," Fred shouted, as the gang braced for another showdown. The robot charged forward, its metallic limbs smashing through consoles and equipment. Fred quickly led the gang into action. "We need to split up and create distractions," he shouted. Daphne and Velma ducked behind a workbench, while Shaggy and Scooby scrambled for cover. Fred grabbed a fire extinguisher, spraying a cloud of mist to obscure the robot's sensors. "It's working," Daphne called out, noticing the machine's jerky movements. Velma's eyes darted to the central control console. "If I can access its override system, I might be able to shut it down for good," she said, her determination unshaken. The robot charged forward, its metallic limbs smashing through consoles and equipment. Fred quickly led the gang into action. "We need to split up and create distractions," he shouted. Daphne and Velma ducked behind a workbench, while Shaggy and Scooby scrambled for cover. Fred grabbed a fire extinguisher, spraying a cloud of mist to obscure the robot's sensors. "It's working," Daphne called out, noticing the machine's jerky movements. Velma's eyes darted to the central control console. "If I can access its override system, I might be able to shut it down for good," she said, her determination unshaken. As Velma worked, Fred and Daphne kept the robot occupied. Daphne used a metal pole to block its path, while Fred created more smoke screens. "It's too strong," Daphne called out, narrowly dodging a swipe from the robot's arm. Fred grabbed a nearby wrench, using it to jam one of the robot's joints. "That should slow it down," he shouted. Velma's screen flashed green. "I've accessed its control systems," she announced. "But there's a fail-safe preventing a full shutdown. Someone's still controlling it remotely." The gang turned to Paul, who stood near the console with a resigned expression. "Stop this now," Fred demanded. Paul hesitated before pulling out a small device from his pocket. You don't understand, he said. This robot isn't just a tool, it's part of a larger experiment to control electromagnetic energy. If I shut it down, the energy stored in its core could destabilize the entire facility. Velma's eyes widened. We'll help you contain it, but you have to trust us, she urged. Paul glanced between Velma and the malfunctioning robot before nodding. All right, he said, but we need to act fast. With the robot powered down and the immediate threat contained, the gang turned their attention to unraveling the mystery behind Project Starline. Velma analyzed the transmitter, tracing its signal to an off-site location. Whoever's behind this isn't working alone, she concluded. Paul, now visibly shaken, admitted, Starline was never meant to be public knowledge. It was an experiment in harnessing electromagnetic energy for advanced weaponry. I joined the project to make a difference, but things spiraled out of control when outside interests got involved. With the robot powered down and the immediate threat contained, the gang turned their attention to unraveling the mystery behind Project Starline. Velma analyzed the transmitter, tracing its signal to an off-site location. Whoever's behind this isn't working alone, she concluded. Paul, now visibly shaken, admitted, Starline was never meant to be public knowledge. It was an experiment in harnessing electromagnetic energy for advanced weaponry. I joined the project to make a difference, but things spiraled out of control when outside interests got involved. Following Paul's instructions, the gang worked together to stabilize the robot. Velma rerouted its energy to an external capacitor, while Daphne and Fred reinforced the containment field. Shaggy and Scooby, tasked with holding the capacitor steady, trembled as sparks flew around them. Like, this is way too intense for us, Shaggy cried. Scooby agreed, gripping the capacitor tightly. Finally, Velma executed the shutdown sequence, and the robot powered down with a shudder. The room fell silent, save for the hum of the capacitor as it absorbed the last of the energy. We did it, Fred said, his voice filled with relief. Paul lowered his head. You saved the facility, he admitted, but Starline's secrets are still out there. Velma picked up a piece of the transmitter. Then we're not done yet, she said, her resolve unwavering. The gang decided to investigate the off-site location, using coordinates from the transmitter to guide them. They arrived at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, its exterior worn and weathered. This place screams suspicious, Daphne remarked, her flashlight slicing through the dark. Inside, they found rows of equipment similar to the labs, along with documents detailing plans to sell Starline's technology to foreign buyers. This is a full-blown black market operation, Fred said, his tone grim. We have to stop them before it's too late. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed through the warehouse. The gang ducked behind crates as a group of shadowy figures entered the room. They're here to collect the tech, Velma whispered. Scooby let out a low whimper, and Shaggy quickly covered his mouth. Stay quiet, Fred instructed, signaling for everyone to stay hidden. As the figures began loading equipment onto trucks, Velma snapped photos with her camera. We'll need this as evidence, she said softly. Daphne nodded. We'll have to alert the authorities as soon as we're out of here. The gang's cover was blown when Scooby accidentally knocked over a stack of crates. The figures turned, their flashlights scanning the area. Over there, one of them shouted. The gang scattered, with Fred and Daphne creating diversions while Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby made a run for the exit. Like, why does this always happen to us? Shaggy exclaimed, dodging a piece of falling equipment. Velma clutched the transmitter and evidence tightly as they navigated the maze of crates. We can't let them get away with this, she said, her determination unwavering.
Creeping through the haunted halls, footsteps echo, shadows crawl. Scooby's trembling knees are weak, but a Scooby snack will do the trick. Scooby-Doo, Hurrah, where are you? Monsters, ghosts, and clues to pursue. Zoinks and Jinkies, what will we do? Stick with the gang, we'll pull it through.